It's 2 AM right now. I'm going to teach you how to steal miniatures real quick. You're only allowed to steal my miniatures, okay? You're only allowed to bootleg my stuff. But for demonstrations purposes, I'm going to bootleg this guy. This epic Great Unclean one that I borrowed from my friend John. We're steaming, let's go. This is oyumaru. This is a thermoplastic used for molding. Bung some hot water on it and let it melt. I like to use 2 paintbrushes and pretend they're chopsticks because this stuff gets super hot and it's not very nice to touch. Now, if you want to steal from a friend, like me, you could ask your friend to make you like a black coffee and say extra hot, and then when you're not looking, dump this stuff in there. We're melting. Now, while it's while it's getting there, we're going to split this in half, and we're going to sort of flatten out an approximate surface area. Now, metal models are best for this because they were designed to be cast in hard rubber. That means that they have to be easily releasable, but they're usually very, very flat. We want to press our model into it. You know, really get it in there. This looks good. As it starts to firm up, we can get our paintbrush and start pushing it up to the edge and try to make as clean of a seam as possible. Now, we get this soft half that's still been in the water. Pat it dry before you press it. Okay, put pressure in the center and work your way out. Take your time, no rush. Unless you are in a rush. You can see the model in there. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. Let's just see where we're at. That seems to be a pretty good impression. I don't want these 2 pieces to deform when I separate them. So I'm gonna bung this in the freezer real quick. If you're out on a heist, maybe ask your friend for some cold water also. Dip it in. Okay, I'm back. Now we should be able to pull this apart. Nice detail on that side. Nice detail on that side. They go together really well and haven't deformed. Now, what do we fill this with? Well, classic green stuff. The issue with green stuff like this is you get this like hard bit in the middle where the 2 bits connect. I try not to buy green stuff like this, but you know, you just have to work with what your hobby shop has, basically. Mix that together. This batch of green stuff is particularly bad, actually. There's like solid chunks all through it. But you work with what you got, because you know, this stuff is a luxury anyway. We have our green stuff. I like to cut this with... cut it. Like I'm a drug dealer. Either epoxy sculpt, mill apart, or smooth on freeform sculpt. And I literally mix it in with the green stuff. What ratio? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much. Okay. Now, in a heist situation, you would be well away from the crime by now. You would have just taken the mold and ran. Unless there's a circumstance where you need to be making a model on the spot as part of your heist. In that case, I would wear gloves because this is really gross and you're gonna get fingerprints all over the scene. Okay, so there's a bit of artistry to this. Unfortunately, I'm a bit crap. Now, I like to put a little bit of petroleum jelly on my hands when I work with this because it breaks it down a little bit and makes the consistency a lot smoother, and it adds like a little coat of lubricant on the surface. And now we just want to fill up 1/2 of our mold with the green stuff. The other half of the mold, we want to do the same. Right, now we have to realign these. We have a bit of a, you know, a flashing situation happening, but we'll trim that up later. Let's let this cure overnight. I'll see you in the morning, you troublemakers. Good morning. All right, let's crack it open. Oh yeah. Okay, so we have a bubble where the tongue should be. Look at that little divot, and a bubble where this tongue should be, and all these little teeth have bubbles. But everything else looks super clean. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna fill up the mold in like little tiny chunks and really push it into those little gaps. I've really taken my time to fill this out. You can kind of see bugger all, but I can tell that these areas are filled now.
We are.
Oh yeah. That's honestly so good. The flashing is so much thinner this time. We did a good job of estimating how much we'd need. I reckon if we got really particular about this process, we could have virtually no flash at all. Look, all things considered, that's pretty bloody good. Really bloody good. I can give this metal model back to John, and my weird Great Unclean One chariot now has a rider. I made this last episode, by the way. But you know, this technique isn't just for thievery, even though I think it's important to learn. You can also... Sprue Goblin Games gave me these beautiful faces, weird little masks. Isn't that cool? This is all the exact same technique. So look, you don't have to steal people's models with this technique. You can make your own stuff. But if you feel like you want to try to bootleg a miniature, it's a great way to start making your own miniatures. Feel free to copy any of my stuff. Better you copy my stuff than hurt someone's feelings. Before there was oyumaru, people used green stuff to make push molds. If I want to copy this face, I put a little bit of petroleum jelly on the side that's going to make contact with the face, and that way nothing's going to stick to it. And then I just push it on. You don't even really need to let this firm up. You can just kind of lift it off the surface. And now we have a little impression, and when this cures, we'll just wash off the petroleum jelly. It's been a couple of hours now. This is nice and cured, and we're gonna upgrade this badass's shield by putting some very soft, very new green stuff on there, and use our new green stuff push mold as like a little stamp, and gently take it off. That's honestly pretty sick. You know what's so special is when I go to conventions and stuff now, people swap me their homemade miniatures, and miniatures and sculpts made with push molds I also love to receive, and I probably get stuff like this the most, and I think that's what it's really good for, making a culture of sharing stuff, because this bit of green stuff costs bugger all. This is infinitely reusable. And you can even use hot glue. I made a video about that once upon a time. Have fun, don't do crimes.